ever get that feeling? Like you're trying to figure out relationships and it's this big mystery,
Yeah,
especially for people who are kind of shy.
right. It can feel like everybody else knows the secret code, but nobody ever gave you the key.
It can feel that way, yeah. You see other people just clicking, connecting so easily.
Effortless.
And you're like, how did they do that?
Exactly.
So that's what we're digging into today. This deep dive, we're looking at this guide, How W2 Meet Women, the Shy Man's Guide to Relationships.
The Shy Man's Guide to Relationships.
Written by Cartaphilus.
Cartaphilus, right.
Now, what we really want to do for you listening is pull out the gems, like the real insights.
The core insights, the practical takeaways.
Yeah, from this guide, and kind of make it a shortcut in a way.
A shortcut. That's a great way to put it.
To understand, like, what are the challenges,
Right?
And like, what are the ways forward?
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with shyness,
Especially when shyness feels like a roadblock, like it's holding you back.
a barrier. Yeah. Now, this guide, it's from 1999.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
It is interesting to think about,
Because it's offering advice specifically to shy men who are navigating this whole world of finding and building relationships.
in the dating world.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how it holds up. But what I immediately got from it was just this deep sense of, like, empathy
Oh, yeah.
for the shy perspective.
Absolutely. It's not about like, okay, just pretend you're not shy anymore.
No, it's not fake it till you make it.
No. It's about saying, okay, this is where you are.
Yep.
How do we work with this?
Exactly.
That's a really refreshing approach.
It is, and it's needed. So what we're going to do in this deep dive is really focus on some of the key core ideas that Cartaphilus lays out. And we want to give you, like, real practical takeaways,
Yeah.
actionable things.
And maybe a little bit of a perspective shift.
Yeah, maybe something that reframes how you see some things, but without overwhelming you. Right. It's about, like, what's the essence? What's the wisdom here?
The distilled wisdom.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so one of the most powerful ideas right from the get-go that jumped out at me was this. Being shy doesn't mean you can't find meaningful relationships.
It doesn't disqualify you.
It doesn't disqualify you, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Cartaphilus, he even goes as far as to say, and this is interesting, it can even lead to deeper and more genuine connections.
Yeah.
Because the people who find love, like challenging, he says, often appreciate it more.
They appreciate it on a different level.
Yeah, like on a whole different level.
Because it's not a given.
Right.
It's something that they've had to work for, or they've had to be more intentional about.
Yeah.
It's not something that's just handed to them easily.
It's really fascinating how he almost flips the script on shyness. Like, instead of it being this negative, purely negative thing, he says it can be a filter.
Yeah.
Like, it ensures that the connections you do make are, like, really based on something.
More substantive. It's not just about, fleeting attraction or superficial connection.
Yeah.
There's something deeper there.
Yeah. It's like your quiet nature almost helps you avoid all the superficial stuff and wait for something real.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a really powerful way to reframe it.
It is.
Because if you're feeling shy, it's easy to see that as just a liability.
A disadvantage.
A disadvantage, a weakness.
Right.
But actually, it can be a strength.
It can be. Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. He emphasizes that, like, building a meaningful relationship starts with a deep dive into you, yourself.
Self-exploration.
And he has this whole section called Defining Yourself.
Right.
And it involves some pretty intense self-exploration.
It does.
He suggests it, like, writing this big essay about who you are.
Yeah.
A detailed personal history.
A detailed personal history.
And even, like, a description of the kind of woman you'd like to meet. Like, really specific.
Really laying it all out there.
Yeah.
And I think the point of this, if we connect it to the bigger picture, is knowing what you bring to the table.
Right.
It's not about saying, oh, you need a complete makeover.
No.
It's about saying, okay, what are your values? What are your interests? What are you really looking for in a partner?
Yeah.
And these exercises are designed to help you get that clarity.
Yeah.
So you can articulate it.
It's almost like he's saying, like, you can't really chart a course to where you want to go if you don't know where you're starting from.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Right.
You need that starting point.
Yeah.
You need that foundation.
And he presents this self-discovery not as a chore, but as a gift.
Yes.
Like you're giving it to yourself.
A gift to yourself.
Yeah.
To gain that self-awareness.
And that gives you direction in your life.
In your life and your relationships.
It's really interesting. And so The question to you listening is, have you done that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Have you really taken the time to, like, define these aspects of yourself? Because it's not just about attracting someone else.
Yeah.
It's this self-awareness is, like, the bedrock
Mm-hmm.
of any healthy relationship,
That's the foundation.
including the one you have with yourself.
Absolutely. You have to start with yourself.
Okay, now the guide goes into this big hurdle for a lot of people who are shy, which is the fear of social interaction.
Social anxiety.
Yeah, it's real.
But he doesn't just say, like, get over it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
He understands that it's not that simple.
he's advocating for more of a step-by-step approach.
A gradual approach.
Yeah. And he says, start with the connections you already have, like with your family,
Family, friends,
friends,
even colleagues, people you work with.
colleagues, yeah. And use that as like a starting point to break out of isolation. Because a lot of times when you're shy, you kind of isolate yourself.
Right. So he's saying use what you already have. What's really insightful there, I think, is it's this incremental progress idea.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, you have to suddenly be this social butterfly,
Right.
which can feel impossible.
It can feel completely overwhelming.
Overwhelming, yeah. But it's more like gently expanding the social circles that you're already in. And even those less, like, intensely personal interactions, like at work,
Right.
can contribute to this greater sense of connection.
Absolutely. They build your social muscles in a way.
Yeah, your social muscles.
You get more comfortable interacting with people in general.
He even uses this phrase. He says, become a collector of people.
A collector of
People, like, just like initiate small greetings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, with strangers.
Little interaction.
Brief interactions. And kind of build this network.
Of casual acquaintances.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything more than that.
Yeah.
It's just about expanding that circle.
And he frames it almost like professional networking.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Because you never know which connection might eventually lead to something.
Yeah. You plant seeds, and you never know which one is going to sprout.
Exactly. And it kind of reframes each interaction. It's not about like, oh, this hello has to lead to romance. It's about building a broader social foundation.
In your life.
In your life.
Just in general.
Yeah. And then that naturally increases the likelihood of different kinds of relationships forming.
Right.
Romantic or otherwise.
Absolutely.
Now, he also spends time challenging what he calls conventional wisdom regarding attractiveness. He pushes back against this idea that, like, only traditionally good-looking, socially adept men are, like, desirable.
Right. He's challenging those narrow
I
definitions.
mean, like, no. He even playfully suggests that, like, if you have, like, a prominent nose or ears or something you see as a flaw, that it's like a filter that keeps away women who aren't looking beyond the superficial.
Right. It weeds out the people who are only interested in surface level stuff.
Yeah. And I thought that was really empowering.
It is. It's a way to reframe those things that you might be self-conscious about
Yeah.
and see them as like actually protecting you in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're helping you find the people who are truly going to appreciate you for who you are.
So what's he really saying here? He's saying, don't get caught up trying to fit this idealized image.
Yeah.
Focus on your authentic qualities.
Yeah. Be yourself.
Be yourself and seek someone who appreciates that.
Absolutely.
And he even gives a list of what he calls non-mainstream categories of women to consider.
Oh, yeah.
Like older women, single mothers, women with disabilities.
Right. He's really broadening the scope.
He's like, hey, these women often have incredible inner strength and a profound capacity for love.
And they may have a different perspective on what's important in a partner.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really important to understand, he's not saying lower your standards.
No.
He's saying broaden your horizon.
Broaden your horizons. Open your mind.
Recognize that these meaningful connections can happen in the most unexpected places.
Absolutely. And sometimes the people who have been through their own challenges are the ones who are most capable of deep connection.
Yeah.
Because they have that empathy.
Right.
They've been through stuff.
Okay, now one of the most practical parts of the guide is this deep dive into conversation,
Mhm.
like the art of conversation.
Yeah.
And he says that, learning to talk with women is often the most intimidating barrier for shy men,
Yeah.
but it's also essential.
It's the key.
It's the key.
You have to be able to communicate.
And his advice is really simple. He's like, just act natural.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to be someone you're not.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. He suggests, like, straightforward conversation starters, like
Yeah.
introducing yourself.
Just saying, hi, how are you? Simple things.
Yeah. Without, like, resorting to, like, cheesy pickup lines.
Right. No gimmicks.
No gimmicks, no.
Let's be genuine.
Just be genuine. And what's really interesting is this emphasis on authenticity over, like, artificial tactics.
Yeah.
Like, he's saying, move past that initial awkwardness
Mm-hmm.
with simple smiles, lighthearted jokes,
Small talk.
small talk.
Yeah.
And kind of use that to gradually ease into more meaningful conversation.
Right. It's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
You start with the surface level and then you go deeper.
He even says, like, imagine you're just talking to a friendly acquaintance.
Mm-hmm.
And that can really reduce the pressure.
It takes the stakes down.
Yeah.
It's not this high pressure situation.
Now, he also makes this really crucial point, which I thought was so simple but so powerful.
Yeah.
He says, remember someone's name
Oh, yeah.
and use it in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he rents this, he says, people are in love with their own names.
In love with their own names.
And oftentimes, it is the key to their heart.
It's true.
It's such a simple piece of advice, but it really does carry weight.
It shows that you're paying attention,
Yeah.
that you're interested,
That you're present.
that you value them as a person.
Right. Exactly. It shows that you care.
And that goes a long way.
It does. Now, he also has this whole chapter on telephone fundamentals.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that might seem a little dated, right?
A little bit.
In our, like, text-heavy world.
In the age of texting and
The
DM.
CMs and everything. But the principles are still relevant
Absolutely.
because he talks about, like, preparing for the call,
Mm-hmm.
having an outline of what you want to talk about.
Having some talking points
Yeah.
in your mind.
And even practicing with a friend beforehand.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting.
But I think what it speaks to is this. Even though the technology has changed,
Right.
that fundamental anxiety around initiating contact
Yes.
and building rapport hasn't changed.
It's still there.
It's still there.
And I think his advice about preparing talking points and even rehearsing,
Mm-hmm.
it speaks directly to managing that anxiety
Yeah,
and boosting your confidence.
right. Whether you're making a phone call or sending a text
Or sending an email,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
or DDM.
Yeah.
Now, he also has a chapter dedicated to love letters,
Love letters, wow.
which, again, might feel a little old-fashioned.
A little bit.
But he argues for this unique power of the written word
Mm-hmm.
to express your feelings,
Right.
particularly in the early stages.
Especially in the early stages.
Yeah.
When you're still getting to know someone.
So it's almost like it's a different form of communication.
It is. It's more deliberate.
It's more deliberate.
It's more thoughtful.
Yeah.
You have time to craft your words.
Yeah. And he's saying that, like, writing provides this opportunity for reflection
Mm-hmm.
and, like, to really articulate your emotions,
Yeah.
which can be harder to do in person
Right.
or even on the phone.
Especially spontaneously
Yeah.
when you're put on the spot.
So it's about creating this tangible
A
expression
tangible expression, yeah,
of your feelings.
of how you feel.
Yeah.
And that can be really powerful.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here
We have.
in this deep dive into Cartaphilus's guide.
It's a rich text.
It is. Let's try to distill it down
Okay.
to, like, the most important takeaways,
Yeah.
the things you can really use.
Absolutely.
All right. So first and foremost, he's saying shyness doesn't have to stop you
Yeah.
from having amazing relationships.
Right.
In fact, it can be a unique perspective.
It can be an asset.
It can be an asset.
Yeah.
So embrace who you are.
Absolutely.
Recognize your worth.
You are worthy of love and connection.
Yeah. Okay. Secondly, building those connections starts with you
Yeah.
internally.
With yourself.
It's about understanding
Self-understanding.
what makes you you.
Yeah.
What are your passions?
Your values, your interest.
What are your values?
Things you take.
Taking the time to do that honest self-reflection
Mm-hmm.
and defining your identity is a really important step.
It's foundational.
Yeah.
It's the bedrock.
Okay. Third, overcoming that fear of social interaction is a process.
It is.
And he's saying take small steps.
Gradual steps.
Yeah, gradual steps, starting with the connections you already have,
Yeah.
and then branching out,
Mm-hmm.
little by little.
Little by little.
And every interaction, no matter what happens, adds to your experience.
It does.
And you're confident.
And it teaches you something.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, fourthly, challenge those ideas about what is attractive.
Right.
Don't limit yourself.
Don't get caught up in those superficial notions.
Yeah, look beyond the surface
Mm-hmm.
and be open to connecting with people who might not fit the mold,
Yeah. Right.
but have these incredible qualities inside.
Inner qualities, yeah.
Yeah.
That really matter.
And finally, good communication, especially being able to understand and express your feelings in a real way.
In an authentic way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is key to building those connections.
Absolutely.
He gives a lot of practical suggestions for starting and keeping conversations going,
Mm-hmm.
but it all comes down to genuine interest.
Yeah.
And listening.
Active listening.
Active listening, yeah. So, as you reflect on all of this, here's a final thought to consider.
Okay.
How can you apply these core principles? The
Mm.
self-awareness, taking small steps, communicating authentically
Mm.
to other areas of your life
That's a great question.
where you want deeper connections.
Yeah.
It's not just about romantic relationships.
No.
It's about all relationships.
It's about how you connect with the world
Exactly.
and the people in it.
And it might lead to some unexpected but positive growth.
Absolutely.
It's worth thinking about.
It is. And it's worth noting, too, that Cartaphilus's guide goes into a lot more detail on specific situations.
Yeah, he gets into, like, personal ads.
Personal ads, how to navigate parties,
Jeez.
deepening intimacy,
Yeah, he gets into all sorts of stuff.
all kinds of things.
So if these initial insights have resonated with you,
Mm-hmm.
maybe exploring the full text would be worth your while.
Yeah, it could be a valuable resource.
It could be. So we hope this deep dive has given you some clarity.
And some encouragement.
And some encouragement, yeah.
Yeah,
Because remember, your path is your own.
it is.
And every step you take towards understanding yourself
Mm-hmm.
and connecting with others
Yeah.
is a big one.
It is. It's a step in the right direction.
It is.